Right, hello and welcome to Material Musings this week. So what we're going to be doing is looking at some of the things that I would potentially use on some of my fabrics, stitching them on, having them as additions, and some of the places that I've sourced them, and in some cases how I would use them. So we've got a few here. I've got another container of here that we'll go through, and it's also going to help me have a little bit of a sort out, seeing what I've got and what will potentially inspire me for another project. Now, we ended last week's session and I was showing you these. So these are on my stitch project, and this funnily enough, or not funnily enough, but it's from a curtain. And so the curtain at the bottom of it has all this lace detail, and it's not something that the kind of curtain that we would want. But then I started thinking, oh, it's got all of these kind of elements. Perhaps I could use them in stitch projects, and they've been stitched themselves. So, why not make use of them? And so you've got different patterns like so, and I've got some more here. I think they're just the rough looking ones. But there were so many kind of patterns that have been either embroidered or stitched and then added to this curtain that it was just like it's too pretty to not make use of. And so what I did was cut the shapes out, and I thought to myself, well, some of the shapes, do you need to cut all of the bits off? So all I was just doing is trying to cut them as close as possible, and then hopefully not making it unravel. And it seems to be fine. And as I say, you just have to have patience to cut them out, and then they're ready for use in a project. And so this one, so you see these two kind of flowers, and then you could see this, but that comes from this. The flowers are attached and this is attached. And so it's worthwhile looking at kind of lace products, lace curtains, and seeing what kind of patterns they have, any reoccurring patterns that you could potentially use or make use of in your project, or even double up some of them, like those two together. It's even something like those two together that weren't together before, because or put in a shape like that together and stitching it onto your project, and you could have a reoccurring theme. So it's definitely well worth seeing what you can find in terms of elements that have been stitched together that you can kind of separate and pull apart. So there was loads. I've got several of these curtains, and even the curtain itself can be made use of, because it's almost like it's got a lining and then it's got what this is attached to. I don't have any here, but I've got lots of loose flowers that are waiting to be cut up. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the others. You could use something like this. This was actually attached to an item of clothing, and I think it was a dress, and it's not, again, I think I got it from a thrift store. So go into your thrift store and seeing what either is on the end of clothes, or there may be curtains that you find some elements. And what I do is just cut a section, a small section, depending on what it is I'm going to use it for. See how it can fit, because you've got this bit, you've got the round bits there that you can be using and cutting them up. And again, they've all been embroidered. This looks like machine embroidery, but it's just like, imagine having to do all of that yourself. And then again, another kind of decorative element, similar sort of process, but this was again on, I think it was a handkerchief or something. I can't remember exactly, but again, very pretty, and it looks very pretty on a project. These can also be dyed. You can tea dye them, coffee, or stain them, or, you know, any kind of fabric dye. It feels like it's cotton. Got some ink on my hand. I went to another thrift store and found these tassels. I still haven't decided what to do with them, but again, decorative elements on a project. I started making one of those tie backs for my curtains, but then I just thought, no, okay. So this was a crocheted piece, and then we've got the tassels. So it didn't work, so I'm going back to the drawing board with the idea of what to do with these. But again, these are things that you can take apart. You can use the threads, you can use the tassels as is. You can, you know, bunch a few together and use them. So they're useful in your creative toolkit. Okay, I also found these tassels. So it has like, I think this is plastic, I don't think it's wood, an element. And this is what it looks like, and it comes with a rope, a plaited rope, and I'll show you that I've taken that apart. So we've not only got this that we can unravel, which is a really strong cord. We've got this bit around here, the tassel part, which I've unravelled from a few others, and this could be stitched onto a project. If your project, you wanted to either have tassels going down or you wanted to wrap it, like I make some fabric dolls, and I might want to do like a pretend skirt or whatever it is, or at the end of wall hangings, these can come in handy. And so if you are going to take them apart, just make sure you do it carefully so you manage to keep as much intact as possible. And this was the rope I unravelled. I've washed them all, and then it was 3 of these together, and it was plaited. So I've just taken them apart, so now I can use these on their own. I can use them in couching. I could replat them and use them as a decorative element. But again, it's just like looking for these things in unusual places that you wouldn't necessarily normally think, but now attached to fabric projects, as the gold is very, you know, shiny, and it will add some a really nice element to your project. Right, I've only got a couple of these. Well, more than a couple, 3. I got these from a curtain. These were attached to the curtain, so I was thinking about potentially using them. They were embroidered to the curtain. But yeah, after I took it off, I was just like, they're kind of flowers. So that's another thing. I've got some, this is from a tablecloth, but it's like a plasticky tablecloth, but it's been kind of, it's got this design. So I think I'd had it, put it in the washing machine, and then it split. So I thought to myself, I wonder if it could be used in a creative project in some way, and find the elements that you want. Like, I like this bit. So how would this either be in a stitch project? Could you use it in a stitch project, or could it be like, you know, in an art journal? Could there be elements in the art journal? Could I use it as a stencil? I could, because of the plastic, I could use this as a stencil and get some nice designs. Just cut it up small, and then as it gets more tatty, you know, as I'm using the bits, and there's some really tiny holes that I might be able to get some nice effects. So maybe next week we'll try that and see how we can use it. But it's looking at all the different surfaces, all the different supplies, the textures. How can you potentially use it? That's a lovely look. And imagine that in a stencil, or imagine that in a stencil on fabric. Yep. So we will be trying that on fabric as a stencil. And then I've just got things that I had brought. Again, I went to this is from my thrift store, and they just had reels of it just on sale, really marked down, but it's so pretty. Just thought this could be, ooh, this might go with that project. It's very, very kind of deep, but I'm thinking of something at the edges, so we'll see. So there's that. There's some other lace. Again, I got this on sale, really marked down, but very pretty. And I can stain this, and it would look really nice on journals or projects, you know, just as mini additions, or at the edges. I've got some really tiny journals here. Or, again, you could take a piece off and use it as a mini stencil on your fabric. You just need a small piece because you'd have to hold it quite taut. Okay. So is this the same? This is slightly different. No, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. So I'll use that as a stencil and see how we get on with that. And let's see what other bits we've got. I had quite a lot of this. I've still got more. I've just taken small bits off. I think you can use it in floristry, and I was determined to use it in a mixed media way. So I'm still looking for that way. But again, these smaller bits with the holes, that will make nice texture, nice stenciling, nice addition to the fabric, depending on what fabric you've got. And if you use this as a stencil on there, that would be nice. So I'm going to put some aside so that we can experiment next week with some of these things. Right, so I found some more of these, and with these I've cut out additional shapes. There's that one. There's this one, the heart. or it can go that way. We've got this one where it's the heart, but it's got those like veins. We could see them as veins, or they can be cut off. That one there. And then the ones that you've seen. The ones that I've used the most are these ones, the flower looking ones. And as I say, you just gently have to take them apart because they're all connected by these kind of, as you can see here, if you wanted to take out these, you would have to just very carefully cut around each of them, and then they're available for use. So they're all of the ones that I would use. The only other ones that I can think of which I've got here is I had this is denim, and these were all separate, and I was thinking to myself, I want to put them together and make some sort of, either it's part of a wall hanging or something, but I still haven't yet finished the idea that I wanted to use it for. But this too could be used as edging. I could not do what I was gonna do with it and then just use them as borders or just focus pieces. But it's all about experimenting and seeing what you can find, seeing what you put together, what you can source from the supplies that you may have from your local thrift store. It's amazing the things that have been made that will get thrown into landfill, and they can be some treasures that we really make use of in our creative projects. And you hope that whatever you make can then go on for generations and be either used in somebody else's creative project or treasured as a vintage piece of artwork, or just, yeah, be handed down in generations. So I hope this has kind of given you some inspiration to source some of the things that you may be able to and use them in your creative project. And I would love to see what you find and how you use it. Take care for now.